What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Nikhil Sai Show, which is hosted by me, the Nikhil Sai. And guess what's going on today? We're back with another amazing guest. This time, the guest is quite unique and different compared to the typical ClickFunnels entrepreneurs we actually bring in. And this time, we are bringing an entrepreneur who's actually a visionary and he's founder of multiple companies and products. And his journey is very unique in its own sense and has a lot of ups and downs that I would love to talk about the journey overall. And we actually met at a high level summit when I was speaking there. We shook hands, and then we actually spoke to each other and had a real conversation and became friends when we were behind the scenes in the backstage room before we get the awards at Funnel Hacking Live. I'm excited to introduce none other than Matt Deseno. Hey, Matt.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Appreciate you, brother. Excited to talk to you. It's so easy. I mean, everybody in the high level community, they know you as the support guy. Like the HL Pro Tools is like the go-to in the high level space. At least people who actually have higher number of SaaS accounts, I've seen them repeatedly use your name overall. But I would love to get behind the scenes into like your actual journey. Like, who is Matt? Like, how did he become the
Yeah.
founder? HL Pro Tools, Zappy Chat, and all these cool startups, SaaS awards, ClickFunnels awards, affiliate awards. I saw you speaking at the affiliate day as well when we were at a high level summit. So show us behind the scenes, like what went into your journey in the first place before you get here.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, if I go way back, it started in eighth grade. I had a teacher who taught programming. And so I kind of geeked out and started to fall in love with the world of languages and programming and coding into, I was 18, 19, 20. I was freelancing. I would just do, it's like side hustle projects kind of a thing. But when you're that age, I don't have a job or anything. I graduated. Actually, I went to university. The school that I was at had a horrible computer science program. So I was like, I was like, I remember going in like the first week and I was like, they are teaching stuff that's ancient. And I was like, they're just so behind the times. This was 2007 for me when I was starting university there. And so I ended up with a degree in Spanish of all things. So I spent some time living abroad, studying abroad. I spent so much time in like Latin America that I was like, I have a Spanish degree. And it was just because I took the class, like I was in Argentina and I took classes. They were like business classes or econ classes, but it's taught in Spanish because the university there. And so it counted as like, it's an econ credit, but it also counted for like a Spanish degree. So I came back, I was like, I have a Spanish degree. So yeah, that's, so kick it off freelancing. And I was just started like an agency, marketing agency, just like, actually it wasn't a marketing agency. I was design and developing. I didn't really do the desigin. I like hired out, contracted the design. I was just a developer.
Okay.
And so for the first 4 years, this was 2012. So 2011, I graduated, still side hustling. It was 2012, technically, when I started the business. I was like, I should make this a real thing. I was dating a girl at the time and she went to study abroad. That girl's now my wife, but like she went to go study abroad. And I was like, what am I going to do with all my time? It's like, well, I should turn this like side hustle into a business. And so I registered it as a business and that's when I started. But I was kind of fortunate in timing, or not timing, location. So my school was Pepperdine. It's in Malibu. And there was just like high-end clients right there. So I would get clients like surfing or going to like the grocery store or just like being around. I was living with like 5 roommates in a condo, you know what I mean? Like trying to live as cheaply as possible, but you're next to these mansions and very wealthy folks. So I kind of got into this space of, they were health and wellness businesses. There was a number of business owners who were there and they kind of had brands in the, national brands in the health space and started doing Shopify sites. But anywho, so kept on doing that. And I got married in 2014, bought our first house in 2015. And this is where one of the first kind of corrections for me is we were job shopping. They'd come in, we'd bid the project, you'd have the job, and then it was done. There's nothing afterwards. And I couldn't explain why, but I remember in the last few months of 2015, we just bought this house, we're spending all this money, and we were not taking on new businesses. Everyone I was talking to, they're like, great, we'll start in the new year. We'll start in January. So for like October, November, December, I got no money coming in. And I had like a small team. And so we had obligations there. And I basically hit like a cash flow crisis. I remember in December, and it's like end of the year, people, holidays, buying gifts and stuff. And I'd go to my wife and be like, we're broke. We have no money. And I literally got down to like, I you had to like reserve some cash, like pay like the mortgage and stuff like that. But
yeah.
it was all on credit cards. I was just like, we just have to be on credit cards because I have no matter. Like, I think it's going to come in January. And it's shouldn't be a big deal, but for me, it was like traumatizing. Like, I had never been in debt. I had never had that. I guess I had the house that I bought on loan, but I never carried credit card debt. I never carried like that kind of consumer debt. And so to not be able to pay it off and have to live on it, like a switch flipped. And my wife is we balance each other out. Like, I'm the risky entrepreneur. She's like the very safe planner, And so this idea that like I was already risky in the sense of like her dad was like an engineer, her mom was like a doctor, is like that kind of space of like very predictable kind of careers kind of a thing. And I was like this, just like seemed very risky, like an entrepreneur, do your own business kind of thing. And I felt like I'd failed. I felt like, I totally whiffed. And so the big shift there was that's when I realized I was like, I want to sell something that people want yesterday, not something that's like nice to have in the future. Because all what we were doing, they were kind of like improvement things, slightly better and
good to do stuff.
Yeah, I think people are surprised by this too, because it's like, so 2016, I'm like, I gotta learn marketing. And so in hindsight, people are like, oh, Matt, you know so much. And a lot of it's because I fell in the ClickFunnels world. So I like just started studying from Russell. I remember we were like, we should build landing pages. Started in that, sign up for lead pages. I think that still exists.
Yeah,
it was like it was so limiting. I was like, is there like a more flexible version of this? And someone was like, ClickFunnels. So fell into ClickFunnels and my mind just like exploded of like, and so that was like so much of my early like marketing education was just learning from Russell.
Yeah.
And so we started doing marketing. I started doing marketing and focusing on recurring revenue. So everything we did, like immediately it's like, I will sacrifice the upfront, sometimes cash or higher ticket stuff like that if I could get stable recurring revenue. And so for a season, it was really tight. But I was like, I'm going to choose to be tight for the stability and the security in the future there. So like I just totally changed my mindset. So we started doing lease to own websites, which were basically just like hire retainers on websites, but now they're anchored to a property. And so these are established businesses, but we had sold websites up to $300,000 for a website. Which sometimes blows people's minds, but like this is LA, Santa Monica, Malibu, and and you're like, Matt, how did you come to this price? I asked people what their budget was. I just kept on asking them what their budget was. Like that was it. And I was just like this young kid who's just like, oh, I'll do, it's like if I remind folks, if you go to like a car dealership and they're like, like, let me show you a car. You have to have some constraint. And it's not weird to be like, what's your budget? Because if you tell me your budget is $50,000, I'm not going to show you a $300,000 car. That would be silly. Yeah. But if you tell me your budget is $300,000, I'm not going to show you a $30,000 car. That would also be silly, right? Both of you get you from A to B. But people come with expectations and budgets there. So that's when I kind of learned that you could just say, what's your budget? I will work within your budget. And so that's how we ended up doing that.
That's a pretty insane takeaways I had from your story, which is having recurring revenue and taking that initial revenue hit for sustainability and right time, right place, being able to be in Malibu and having those conversations, and then being price flexible, not being afraid to charge what you're actually worth according to their budgets. Now, what was the first $1 million business? What was the first 2 Comma Club business you brought in? Is that the marketing agency or like?
Yeah, the first 2 Comma Club was the marketing agency. That was the first time we had a funnel. Like even did that. Now, to be fair, the first version of it was an application funnel. Like we still like took it in. They were higher ticket retainers. It was the marketing agency. It was not, I wouldn't say the funnel sold them. The funnel was like, it was a lead gen application funnel was more of the style there, which is common for
every application funnel. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very common that we were just a service as opposed to like coaching or anything like that. So we were service application-based funnels is the first one we did there. And we ran that until 2020. But the next big shift there was in 2018. So accidentally, I was kind of a big Shopify affiliate. So Shopify back in the day, you just build a site and deploy it. And they're like, you're an affiliate. I wasn't trying to be an affiliate. I was just trying to build the site. And they had a thing where it's like, you build it this way. When you're building it, you don't have to, the client doesn't pay. They don't start paying until it literally goes live. And so I was like accidentally a Shopify affiliate. And I was like, well, this is cool. But so I stopped doing Shopify sites in 2016. So when we kind of went into that space, it's so weird in hindsight. Like we had all these e-com clients, but I was learning marketing. People were saying, hey, if you try to do marketing for like e-com, it's actually a lot harder. You should do marketing for like local businesses. And I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm like, I'll trust your advice here. In hindsight, I probably should have I should have just doubled down on the clients that we have. But so we hard pivoted, find a new process, getting clients to local. But so I wasn't doing any more Shopify stuff, but I had the commission coming in. And one day, it was like October, it was the fall of 2018. All of a sudden, it just didn't come. And I was like, what happened here? And so they had redrawn the lines around their commission structure, and I no longer qualified. So it was a steep hit. I forget, man, what's the math on it? It was almost $100,000 a year to me to do nothing that disappears. And in the moment I thought, oh, this is my retirement. This is good. This is going to be solid. It's and then it disappeared. Right. I was like, in my mind for a second, I was like, affiliate marketing is a scam. It's a trick, because the businesses, if they get big enough, that's what happened to Shopify, is they go public, they sell their shares. Now the owners are thousands of people who own the stock, and they ask them all, who wants to keep on paying the affiliates? And everyone's like, boo, screw the affiliates. And so they just cut out the affiliates, and it's the people. The people voted to stop paying me. I was like, oh man, what a bummer. But so then I was like, okay, I gotta own this thing. I got whatever we refer to. I was like, I want to own the thing, because we found so many times, why did the client show up on Shopify? Well, because I told them to go with Shopify. They didn't care. They could have gone WordPress or whatever else.
Yeah.
And so when we were doing that as an agency, we had started doing that for more other things. We were affiliating these other brands for different pieces that we need, right? If they're like, oh, I need Zapier, go sign up for Zapier, kind of a thing. Use our affiliate link. So then I was like, oh, we got to own the software. We're doing this wrong, because ultimately they're going to cut us out, or they'd stop paying for our service. They keep the software. So that's what led me to High Level. So it was December. I tried a couple, immediately I was trying to find things. We started building something. I was like, I'm going to just build this thing just for two-way text messaging. Imagine this. Back in the day, that was a big deal. We had text automations, but they'd only go one way. So you'd send an appointment reminder of hey, your appointment's coming up. And if the client replied back, I'm not going to make it, I don't know, it just goes into the ether. And so we had evolved into kind of a performance-based agency, paper show sort of thing. And so it mattered to us if the appointment showed, because we were running the ads, we built the funnels, we set up the nurture sequences, all that to get them to show up. And so January of 2019, signed up with High Level. I think we were one of the first.
That's like a newborn baby back then.
Oh, it was super baby. So, but it had the two-way text messaging. That was it. That was oh. They literally launched it in December of 2018. Joined the Facebook group. There was less than 100 people in the Facebook group, their GHL official group. Now there's 100,000. And so the 100 folks, there I am. And I'm like, this is great. But there was there was a couple critical things we needed. They didn't have custom values. So your contact had name, email, phone number, but I wanted to create dynamic sequences where it'd be hey, whatever, if we take on the form that they're having back pain, it's why are you having knee pain or back pain or stuff like that? I wanted to make my nurture be hey, you got the appointment coming up. I see here you're suffering with some back pain. I think we got some great solutions for you, right? And it just swaps it out. So then you're I see here you're suffering from knee pain. They didn't have that ability. They didn't have what we now call custom fields. So I went back to High Level, and they're well, we got this ideas board to Sean, and he was just post it. I was posted it. No one, there's only 100 people in there. No one cared about it. I was please guys, how are we going to do? So they let me pay them. In hindsight, they just made this up. So they let me start paying them $5,000 a month, and they'll just build out whatever we wanted. So I invented the premium subscription. They don't do this anymore. They stopped doing it because it made a point it gets silly. But so we pushed through custom fields, changes in the calendar, the funnel builder. And so there was a number of things where I was this is what we want. This would be great. So, and that's what we did. So we launched a white label version of High Level. They didn't even have SaaS mode, but that's why I did it. I was I can, at the time, I can own this. High Level was charging $297 a month. That was the biggest plan they had, $300. And we connected our Twilio account, our Mailgun account. We just owned all the pieces. That's how you had to do it. Assembled it all together, and we just launched it to our client base. So we had a few hundred folks to turn into subscribers. So I was great. I have this SaaS business. And so in that regard, the first 2 Comma Club that I did that was payment on a funnel. It's weird to think about, but back in the day when I signed up for High Level, I signed up on a ClickFunnels funnel. They were running on a ClickFunnels funnel. That's how I bought it. That's how you had to buy it. And so when I was selling white label of high level, I sold it on a ClickFunnels funnel. And so that was the, the first piece in that. A year later was COVID. That was meaningful for us because I'm based in California. Local businesses got shut down. And we were performance-based. We were performance-based, and we did something in hindsight. So we did like net 30, net 60 terms. They didn't have to pay us for a month or 2 months later. So it made it easy to get clients on, because imagine I'm saying like, I'll literally grow your business and then I'll send you an invoice and you might have 30 more days to pay me. So we'd work in January, send an invoice on February 1st, and it was due on March 1st. So it was very easy for them, because I thought like, if I can make you 30 grand in January, even if I invoice you 15 grand to do that, if they were a recurring business, I'd be like, you should make more money from having the customer. And like, I charge you a percentage of the front end there, which worked out great for us up until this point, because what happened is they all got shut down and started stiffing the invoices, but that was for work past due. You know what I mean? So imagine like, so I get it. So it's like the work we did in February when everything was great, invoice hit on March 1st. It was due on April 1st. And they're saying like, well, we're not open. We're not sure we're going to be open. But I'm like, but this is, I already paid the team. We were running ads, all this sort of stuff on it. And so, I think it was just in a crisis zone. I had more folks go out of business. They just paused their businesses. But I got stiff for a lot of money. And the hard part was I was sitting there and they would not pay our $10,000 invoice, but they kept on paying their $200. And they didn't know. So we kept them as separate brands. So we ran our brand like we did, like we just affiliated our own brand, right? So imagine where I used to say like, sign up for Scipio. I said like, sign up for Dewey is what we call our thing. So like, sign up for Dewey. That's it. So, but I could see they're paying for the software over here, and they're stiffing me for the service over here. And for the service, we did like ACH invoices like this. This was credit card on file. And I so badly wanted to be like, charge,
press the payment button. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But it clicked again. I was like, I want the bundle of many sticks. I would prefer a lot of low ticket customers where it feels like they're paying for a utility, right? Like your power bill, you don't even think about changing it. You don't even think about like not paying it. You're like, this just keeps the lights on. It's like, I'm going to keep paying it. So that was we looked at things that we were doing, and we started just fragmenting it, like breaking it off into its own potential brands in the marketplace. So that was the birth of HL Pro Tools and Zappy Chat. So we had created, this is crazy. I think this is 2019, 2020. We were using AI via Google's Dialogflow to book appointments. Now this is like totally common space, but it was not common space back then. And so we launched Zappy Chat. It's hard for people to believe, in 2020, and it was an AI booking solution. So it could do the conversational appointment booking via messaging.
I think the first one I've heard was Zappy Chat as well. And back then, like, there was no Chat GPT. It was called like Playground and stuff. Like,
no, yeah, exactly. It was like, even when we used Dialogflow, and even when we started to incorporate OpenAI's model, there was like DaVinci. Like, there wasn't Chat GPT. It was all pre all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And so, and then HL Pro Tools, the original vision was we had built some like cool little add-ons into it, and I had it as a bonus that we would run support. So it was literally, it was like, hey, subscribe to the tools, and as a bonus, we'll run support. And immediately I was like, oh, this is backwards. Everyone, like, they want the support, especially for folks that have customers. They're like, oh, this is great. You'll run 24/7 chat support. Because for me, I was already had the team that was running support for our customers. But you just find, like, if I have someone sitting there, I'm paying them for due an hour, we might have like one person chat during that time, so you're just paying for the time. So I was like, oh, what if I could have them do the exact same thing? Just more. So it's kind of, the concept there was, sell your sawdust. And if you think about like woodworking, so there are companies like, if you mill wood or whatever, when you're cutting trees to make planks, you end up having sawdust. It's the byproduct of what you do, but it's interesting because not a lot of people compete in producing sawdust, because you should really create planks of wood. You know what I mean? It was like the accident. It was so high cost because we had a whole domestic team. We're US based. We're doing this thing. It's like no one else is going to start up and be like, I want to make this. It just wouldn't make sense as a standalone company. So we were able to launch with the after effect of what we had, essentially our
And what time frame are you talking when you started like HL Pro Tools service
Yeah,
support?
it was July of 2020. We're coming up on the 5-year anniversary.
Wow, that's pretty cool. 5 years journey. That's pretty awesome. Congrats. So so you started the service piece, and what happened from there? Like, how did it blow up in the high level space?
I don't know if I'd say it blew up. I mean, maybe people say it's all like it's all in retrospect. We were just like steadfast, kept it going. There was, I mean, I made it through that year with like PPP loans and just hustle.
Oh yeah,
It was not an immediate overnight, but it just stacked. Like that was
you had
the
a 5 year
like
overnight.
it's a 5-year overnight. But I'll say I don't know if I've been super public about our numbers there, but like, you know, people, that's fine. I think it's good for people to know. It's like, you know, we got businesses doing, you know, because we're recurring businesses. And so, you know, we've been able to cross, you know, $10 million a year. And it's not like that happens immediately. The trick, if you will, is keep being good and like have something people would like keep buying. Cause I see a lot of folks, they struggle because they get and lose customers. Like that's always like
The churn
the
and
struggle.
burn. Yeah.
Yeah, the churn and burn. And so it's like, turns out if you don't churn and burn, you just get and keep. And you're not going to be perfect, but even if you just like the bar's so low, but like do focus on that, focus on being good and delivering something that people like would want to keep on buying. And then it sort of, I don't say accidentally happens, but it's just like, you don't have to, you're not like super trying. Like we did not run ads for ourselves, which is crazy for the first 3 years. We've only been running ads for ourselves for 2 years. So for 3 years, it was just word of mouth. That's, you know, and then it's just been a lot of learning process there. Cause I'll tell you like the difference of, cause we're so team heavy too. I feel like we're team heavy, we're low ticket. And so I feel like we have the complexity of like a 50 or $100 million a year business, you know, so we have more complexity than we should. And so when I talk to folks, it's like, we got good friends in some of the masterminds and they're like, oh yeah, we resonate, but they're doing like 90 million. It's like the difference between like at that point, it's like, just raise your prices. Like that's honestly the secret. I could keep the same business model, just raise my prices. But the weird thing there is I've really wanted it to be, I just resonate. I don't know if you're familiar with the brand Arizona Iced Tea. Are you familiar with this? They're just like it's an iced tea drink. It's a drink. It's a can.
They have the same price, you know.
Same price for they're 99 cents. Everyone else is right. It's like cheaper. Their iced tea is cheaper than if you go to the gas station, you get their Arizona iced tea is cheaper than if you buy a bottle of water. You're like, and someone asked him about it and he's like, you know, there's two ways you can kind of compete there. And I really just like passing off efficiencies, and I've weirdly benefited, or I just get like a personal satisfaction when it's when people find and experience a disproportionate amount of value. And so that's where it's like, I know I could be more aggressive with our prices and just cater even more premium and probably grow faster sooner. But I'm like, I if it takes us whatever, I don't know if it takes us twice as long, but there's a huge loyal base. You know, it's kind of the approach.
I think you're playing
like,
the volume game. You want to keep them forever for a long
that's
time.
right. Yeah, it's like it's a volume play, and I think the key thing for me is like there's your reputation is the one thing that like stays with you.
Yeah.
And so it's very difficult as you start to have thousands of customers. And so you realize a good proxy for this is to just be inherently like lower ticket.
Yeah. So the expectations are lower as well. They don't
expectations are kind of lower. And so if I'm like, oh my gosh, even for the lowest paying customers, like I'm very certain you're gonna get 10x the value. It's great. Because then even as you have mistakes in the growth journey, you're like, well, yeah, it was like a little bit of It's like when, you know, like this happens a lot in tech products where like we have that kind of relationship where you're like, oh, high level does this all the time, right? You're like, oh, they had a bug or something didn't work, but you're like, but man, it's so much cheaper than if I were to like go and get all these other things. So because of that value arrangement, you give a lot more grace. And I'll say growing a business is hard. Entrepreneurship is hard. And there is, when you're bootstrapping, we haven't taken funding. We're not like have a ton of investors that kind of like gloss it over. You know, you'd be like, oh, you know, Uber, whatever these like companies where they just raise a ton of capital and do it. Yeah, they can do a more polished version from the start. Even they are going to make issues. When you're bootstrapped, it's even harder. And so it's kind of a gift there if you can have a big mass of customers who experience it like huge disproportionate amount of value.
Yeah. It's interesting that you say that you have like a little complex business. And I agree. I mean, I'm looking at what you guys are running. So you have your HL Pro Tools service side of the business. Then you have all of the technology and the assets you're building continuously and updating for your clients who are using HL Pro Tools. Then you have Zappy Chat as a product on the side. Then you have your SaaS business, and you do affiliate. How do you even handle all these things which are going on in talent acquisition, operations? And I'm assuming the higher ticket people who want to buy, at the premium price, they're still talking to you, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. We still serve some high profile clients, and they're obviously higher ticket, because that's what they're looking for premium service there. And so I think the trick for me has been, I've never had a problem with like letting go, if that makes sense. So the ism I say is like, deficit creates opportunity. And usually you think of like deficit as like it's lacking, something's missing, right? So my own deficits. There's things that I'm not good at, or I can't do, or I'm limited in. So it's like your limitations, maybe that's a better way of saying it. Your limitations create opportunity for other people to fill the gaps. And people in your business, this is weird, your business will only grow as much as you do.
Yeah.
So hard. And so where people can stall is they will focus on trying to grow one of their limitations as opposed to creating a support system around them. So they get to take what might be a level 9 skill and grow that to level 10, as opposed to spending their energy taking a level 3 skill to a level 4. And so that's what I've been able to do, is I really have been able to insulate myself with people, appropriately motivating people. Like I've got 4 big goals right here on my monitor. And so like one of them is, I share this one a lot, but I want to raise kind and confident human beings who want to spend time with me when they no longer have to. So for my kids, it's like a big target there. Is like, I want to raise kids who want to spend time with me and that are kind and confident in the world. The other one next to that is I want to help 5,000 people be financially free. And truly, I believe one piece of that, and a big chunk, is my team. And so I think for them, and so there's appropriate alignment. I think people would be surprised with how little that I take out of the business, because I've chosen to put appropriately motivated A players around me. You know what I mean? And so it's like,
you're feeding the business.
I could have a bigger chunk of a smaller pie, and I'd rather have a sliver of a huge pie where there's multiple people who are focused every day on growing that, sustaining that, delivering that beyond me. For HL Pro Tools, I don't think we've been super public about this. Like, we actually distributed ownership of the company to the entire team. Yeah. We just gifted. So it's called like a ESOP, equity or like vesting? An employee. Yeah. Essentially, we just gifted them stock in the thing, because I was like, for this to be good, I need all of us to act like owners. And I could try and, like, I don't know, brainwash you into thinking you're an owner. I could just make you an owner. And so 2 things happen. People that are not motivated by it, they didn't want to be owners, they self-select out. And then the other folks that are like, I want ownership. I want to treat this like it's my business. I want to treat our guests and our customers like they are, like, the buck stops with me. And so I was able to recreate that by literally just being like, here you go, guys. Yeah. And so
that's pretty awesome. I've seen high level promoting their, like, ESOPs kind of option to affiliates. I was like, wow, that's so cool. That's a nice strategy. It won't be any Shopify moves anymore with affiliates.
I've appreciated their commitment. They're doing it different, and they really set a good standard there.
So, like, I kind of have a mixed feeling. I would love to know your opinion when it comes to, like, the SaaS side of the high level business versus the affiliate. Like, I've seen most people who tried scaling their SaaS end up being super affiliates and, like, winning all the the crazy awards in the affiliate side while doing SaaS. I would love to see, like, where do you see the vision of high level, and what do you recommend if somebody is getting started with the high level? Like, you think it's better to just build a SaaS side, or is it just better to be like, hey, I'm an affiliate and just build that side of the business?
I'd say know yourself and your skill set, and don't feel judged by that, right? So I'll create a different parallel. If you ask someone, like, what's more valuable, buying or investing into apartment complexes, or buying and investing into single family homes? You'd be like, the apartment complexes, no doubt. You know what I mean? This is why there's syndications, the doors. It is a more valuable thing, but it's way more complex.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, like, actually, I'll tell you this story. Is like me as an investor. I've taken a lot of money and put it into real estate now. And so I've done some syndications, and I've done some single family real estate. And I almost prefer the single family real estate because it's so simple. And I'm like, I get it. I'm a real estate dummy. I fully understand it. It's like, I bought the house. Some person wants to rent the house. They pay the rent. And, like,
that's it.
And on the, like, apartment complex, you're like, you have managers, you've got all these crazy lines of credit and all sorts of
companies,
improvements, all this sort of stuff, right? But like no one's debating, maybe some people debate, but I think it's pretty clear the multi-family mass real estate is the more valuable skill to have, but it is a skill and it's more complex. And so I'm okay saying, I don't have the skill. I'm gonna play the easier game here. And I might not have the crazy returns that someone else does, but like, it's fine. So I'd say the same thing. Owning a SaaS brand is it's just way more valuable. It's a sellable asset. You cannot sell your affiliate portfolio. I mean, you can try, but basically you selling your affiliate portfolio is a red flag to any investor.
Yeah.
So think of all the things you could do, just equate it to like things you could grow. If you own something that other people want to buy, is that probably more valuable, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, yeah, it is. So that's what we're just saying. Like, which one of these venues is more valuable? It's like, it's not really debated. If you could grow a brand that's facilitated by a software and the value that it brings, that is a sellable asset that multiple people want to buy, but it is more complicated. It is way more difficult. It's just a harder skill to run and manage. And so so we had over the course of this time now, so now I've been able to invest into a number of different brands. And this one we're public with. So we bought, there was somebody in the high level space kind of early on, and they'd grown the brand in the chiropractic industry. They had a partner who was a chiropractor who wasn't very involved. And he was just there from day one. And it was no offense to him. He would say he was a deadbeat partner. And so we bought him out because we were like, we can help you grow this thing. We understand this process. You can go way bigger than you are. And you're in the industry. This is really good. And so we bought out his partner. So then we had, still a minority share, but like almost, we were significant partner there and grew it. And then we just sold it this last September for multiple 7 figures. No one's, even if I have, even if I'm getting $1 million a year in affiliate commissions, no one's going to pay me $4 million for that.
Yeah. So you
but
like,
if I was getting $1 million a year in the SaaS business, a year in the SaaS business, they would actually pay me like $10 million for that. So think about it. No, I'm saying profit, because both of those, when you're in the affiliate side of it, let's say you got the commissions coming on, it's easy, it's light, I don't have to do it. I got $1 million a year, but if you wanted to go sell that, I don't think you could even sell it for 4. I think you maybe get, honestly, I think you maybe get like a 2x multiple on it, because it's a red flag. They're like, if this is guaranteed to happen forever, why are you selling it?
Yeah.
And so if you go out there and look at like people who are selling affiliate account, usually it's 1x, because they think it's like, something they don't. $1 million a year affiliate, you could sell it for $1 million. $1 million a year, like bottom line profit of a SaaS brand, you can sell it for 10. And so, there's no question. I mean, you look at your bigger players. There's a reason why the biggest players are using it as a under their own brand. But I'll say there's complexity. There's skill involved. Like probably one of our bigger clients is, and they've spoken about it, so I feel okay saying it. So it's Tony Robbins and Graciosi for mastermind.com. And they run a huge operation. And it's all on top of high level. It's sub accounts into high level. Like that's how they deliver their thing there. You'd look and say like this is also, they're at a scale and level where it's like if they were affiliates, the high level could be 40%, which is great. They own their own brand, and I'd say they net like 80%.
Wow.
So like double what they make or could make, right? And then a sellable asset. So even if you don't want to sell it, let's say you're like, I don't want to sell it. You could take loans out against it, right? Which is just like you would with like equity funds like that. The banks do not love loans against affiliate. They just like won't. They basically treat it like a job. Even if you're like, no, I've got this thing. They're like, no. That's like, if you have a business, MRR, very different. Like they don't treat it like a job. They treat it like an asset. So in the same way there. So that's what I'd say. People are complex. I don't think doesn't have to be either or. I think just be real with yourself or your skill level. And I'll say, I did it. It's the same thing. I did it accidentally. I did not think I was going to be an affiliate. That was not the playbook at all. And so I'll say that's the benefit too. If anybody think of the skills that stack here. If you just focus on delivering tons of value, getting good at, it's kind of the communication part of it, the marketing piece of it. Like I win affiliate contests now, not because I was like, I'm going to be an affiliate, but it's because I have a very high engagement, a high read rate on my emails. Like I just focus on delivering so much value. And so now if I tell someone like, hey, this is kind of a cool thing, maybe you want to check it out. People are like, oh, I trust Matt. Let me see what's there. And try to really be discerning of like, is this going to bring value to the other person? If so, if they're going to thank me for introing them to it, then like, yeah, I feel good about that.
That's the best way to affiliate.
It's the best way to do it. And the interesting thing, if you want, you can do that for yourself as well.
Yeah,
so
I love that.
There's that's what we found as well. There's a lot of, if you're good at
Matt,
that and you can build an audience, you can pretend like your own brand is an affiliate.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, ultimately, like building your own MRR under your business is probably the highest value add. But it's interesting to see all the top influencers in the high level space also are biggest affiliates for running a SaaS business and affiliates. So I was interested to ask about that. Now, quick question. You are the nerdy coder guy, you know, who turned into an entrepreneur and marketer overall. And we talked behind the scenes when we were at FHL about like AI and how you're using it. I'm kind of curious on how are you guys incorporating AI into your company, and where do you see this evolving in the support side? And a lot of people, I'm assuming hundreds of thousands of people in the world are support agents right now. And how do you see that transitioning in the next few years?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, it's the disruption's already happening, and every piece there is going to bring a big shift. Because I'm so committed to the people side of it, this has been interesting. I look through the lens of where is there going to be value in inefficiency? So if you think about this, there are people who you can get the cheapest made product stamped out of a factory, and then you can get like the hand whittled version of it, the hand carved version of that same thing. And people will intentionally pay more for an inefficient method, if that makes sense. And so the interesting thing is, I think there's potentially still space there. What will happen is people will need to raise their skill. So that's what we focus on for our team is like, hey, if you're going to have a future here, odds are the majority of frontline text-based communication is going to be AI. It's going to be good enough that that's going to be it. However, there probably will still be people that want to interface with another human being.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know. Like people might say, no, it's never going to happen. But you'd be like, how many people pay for university every year and they learn things that are for free on YouTube?
Yeah, millions, if not billions. Yeah.
This is like $1 billion industry. And so if we're here saying like, oh, no one's ever going to want to pay to talk to a human, everyone's just going to be fine talking to AI, I'd be like, then universities should already be gone. Yeah. Like it just shouldn't even be a thing because all that knowledge, it's out there on YouTube. And so the fact that like there's already these, it's predictably irrational. There's certain things that as humans, we are predictably irrational. We make decisions that we shouldn't make for preferences we really shouldn't have, but the reality is we have them. And so in the same way, I mean, you just look at like, yeah, so you can pick all the things apart. For us, I think we're still invested heavily into making things as efficient as possible. So there's probably going to be a divide there. So it's like the cost of a version of like taking care of folks will be lower level for like check the box. There is something that can support them. And then I think it'll just raise the bar for people that are good at communicating. And then the test will be, is there a material connect? And I think for certain clients, there will be.
Yeah, we talked about that. That was like quite interesting.
Well, this is the service industry. Everyone that provides a service to somebody else, they're like, why would you ever pay for that service? But to somebody else, they're like, I definitely would, right? So it's like, I paid to have someone do the lawn and the garden. And other people are like, why would you ever pay someone? You can do it yourself. It's like, well, yeah, I can, but I just like don't want to. So it'll probably become more of like managed support is what we move into is so it's not helping you. You're not going to a human to say, how do I do this? You're going to a human to say, can you just do this? And there's high level is an interesting space too. We face this all the time and are like, anybody who says I've got an AI solution for high level, this is why right now they struggle because it's moving so quickly. Imagine. And so AI has all the information that ever was and was out there. And so its ability to give you incorrect answers because it's just a 2-month-old answer or a 2-year-old answer, right? Yeah. If you have something that doesn't change a lot, AI is really great. These are like, if you're trying to learn a framework that's been 10 years, 20 years old, it's like, oh, it's great. You can do that because it hasn't changed in years. When you're on a platform where it's like, it changes weekly, it changes weekly. And the people that make the changes don't start with, here's the lesson of how to use it. Sometimes they don't even know. They're like, we released it. Let's see how people use it. And so in that space, You're like, there is still this gap where there's at least humans involved with translating changes, the actual information into something AI could then use to repeat the answer. But that nuance, which we face on a daily, is like, people are like, I just saw this new thing come up. And the reality is sometimes there's no documentation for it. Well, how's AI supposed to help them if there's no documentation for it? Like, so that's what we're focusing on, is the skills that are uniquely human and probably going to be catering to folks that want just human support. But AI is just going to be a huge leverage there for just buying a ton of time back.
Interesting. And what's like the vision for you? Because you as a leader have a very interesting perspective on building companies, which I don't usually see a lot. I mean, I've encountered a lot of entrepreneurs and they usually have this profit first, get cash out of the business, build assets, and that's your net worth. Like that's what your main thing is. And this is a cash cow business. You just withdraw, right? You milk as much as possible. But the other way around, you're building this heavy service-based business, people-oriented business, which again, a lot of people are not seeing it from the same lens. Like, oh, AI is coming, and why do you have 5,000 people vision, to be on your team? I'm kind of curious, what's the vision, ultimate vision, like 10 years down the line, the 15th anniversary of HL Pro Tools? Where do you see the company? Do you want to sell, or like, do you still like to keep running it?
We've always been open to it. I actually think, I think high level should buy us, and I think we should become the implementation arm for high level, because they're sitting there with folks that would love, like, they'd be like, can you just do it for me? And high level's like, no, we don't do that. And they say, go out in the marketplace. And so at some point, not right now, builders build, but buyers buy. And so at some point, high level will sell enough of their shares that there will be people there and they'll say, why don't we have a services like department? And they'll be like, oh, okay, we can go build one. And they'd be like, yeah, that sounds fun. Let's like hire people that have never used high level and then like train them on high level to go and do this thing. And so we'll be over here saying, like, even we've said it for their support, like even their own support, they constantly struggle with this because it's a cost center for them. And so if all I have to do is say, even if it's break even, right? Imagine they're a company and they're like, wow, we could spend whatever, X million dollars hiring people to set up this department. And it will cost them negative X million dollars. If I could say, hey, for X million dollars, you can have the department and it makes X million dollars. Yeah. It's like, to them, they're like, oh, we could be negative X million dollars or zero. And so all I have to do is be like, it's zero instead of negative X million dollars. And so I think we'll see. There's no guarantee to anything there, but I think it would be a win-win for everybody involved. And I design and orchestrate it so the people on the team, they're the ones doing it, that are really like creating positive, incredible experiences, would have a life-changing experience if that were to happen. And it is something interesting. I mean, my encouragement to everybody, one thing that I did is I shifted a lot of my digital funds into real estate. You can do whatever, but I just picked something boring that I thought, like, this is not crazy. Like right now there's a ton of uncertainty and I feel like great, because what I did is I got to the point where like I can cash flow my life from things that are not digitally connected. So the economy goes like crazy, unless, like, I don't even know what happened. Like there'd have to be a surplus of houses. That would be it. Like, for me to be affected, because I have a ton of tenants that technically pay under a market rate on houses that are paid in full in cash, and that money pays for a manager and then pays for my life. And so as long as I can be disciplined to like live beneath like what I make over there, everything else is just an awesome, fun game. And so then I'm driven by, what is the story I'm going to tell to my grandkids when I'm 80 years old? And I would love it so much if this was like a fun season where it's like, hey, we got this cool, awesome team. We focus on solving great problems, just trying to be a better version of ourselves every single day. And on that team, the company got bought and all these people's lives were changed. Because for folks on the team, like, even if you've got a portion of this, imagine, big teams would split up over, but like it would pace out to, it'd be hundreds of thousands of dollars to each person on the team.
Each person. Yeah.
That's like, it's like a rich relative dying inheritance kind of thing. You know what I mean? And I know it's weird, but it's like, if that happened, man, that's like a chapter I'd want in my book.
Yeah. Have you planted a seed, Sean, if you're watching, maybe?
Have what?
Have you talked to the founders with the vision you have with the HL?
They know, but and I'm not rushing anything. I'm not rushing anything. Like, I am saying, builders build and buyers buy.
Yeah.
I like that. Now, I love it. They are builders building. And I'm like, go, build. It's great. I love it. So that's anything I can do to support sending more people in the ecosystem, like making it stable, easier for people to succeed. I love that all. It may not be, who knows how many years. Right now, they have enough investors that like there's kind of a playbook that those investors run by. Latest investor, they're going to want to get some sort of cash return in at least 5 years. So in at least 5 years, High Level is either going to run another round or go public or, and at that point, then the company will be controlled by buyers. The majority of owners will be buyers. Buyers are very much, like I said, the buyers are then going to say like, what can we buy? Like, what can we buy to keep growing?
Make more money. Yeah.
That's exactly right. And so, they're phenomenal founders doing incredible work, and we're just stoked to be along for the ride. But yeah, it'll probably be the next generation of controlling interest that will be when those conversations will materialize. So
yeah, sure. And Matt, Matt, before we close down, I have one quick question. Everything around you're doing is all about people. And I mean, I've seen that live with, myself, and the team you have is incredible around you. I'm kind of curious, how do you find the right people and weed the wrong people out? Because especially when you have that empathy, it's kind of hard to see like underperformers and have that, oh, I don't want to fire them, give them another chance kind of situation. So how do you do that exactly? Well, how, like, give us a people skill masterclass.
Oh man. Okay. So this is the interesting thing I still insulate even that in me. So you're right that like me alone could not do it. I'm just not wired that way. I get taken advantage. And it's weird to say I get taken advantage of, but I don't even mind being taken advantage of. Isn't that weird? It's like, I would prefer, it's probably like some childhood trauma programmed into me where I'm like, I don't even mind it. And I still, it like can irk me a little bit, but what I've done is insulating myself. So I think one of the most important skills as an entrepreneur is self-awareness. Just know yourself. There's so many great kind of like personality profiles. Russell's big on this, like just all these sort of assessments and know yourself, which is really helpful because then I can see my gaps, the areas that I'm lacking in. One of those you're talking about is like, I'm not the shrewd perfectionist that drives performance. I'm not. So what do? I hire shrewd perfectionists that drive performance around me. And so, it's like, if you just think of the more you know yourself, the more you know where you do not excel. And then it's like to your point, I think it was a shift in a growth period there of like, just be humble along the process there. And like, for me, this is kind of like a life goal is I want to grow in humility as I get older. And, so it's like, the more I do, the more I know, the more I realize I don't know. And so if you can come from that perspective, ask other people, like, wise people would say, hey, you need a culture of excellence. You need to be high performing. You need to continue to challenge yourself to be elite. I wasn't programmed, but like I had a thought. So one of the other little, I don't know, they're literally Post-it notes. Now this is right. There's that Post-it note of literally just a Post-it note. People. So one of these is the, I have a 6-pack in 25 years. I just hit 365 days a year. I'm at 367 days. It's been over a year of just tracking what I eat. I track what I eat and I walk. And I can tell you right now, I have a 6-pack. And I've never in my life had a 6-pack. So as you keep on growing, you're like, there are a lot of wisdom there. Like, to do this and do it well and to have an impactful company, you gotta create a winning culture. It's okay if I know of myself, I'm not a natural, it's like weird. I'm not a super competitive person. I'm not like a born athlete or anything like that. But I intentionally hire and surround myself with people that are, and they drive it home so well. I'll say like December of this year, this is kind of crazy to think about, but December, this last December, I had, so we had our 3rd child in November. At the same month, weeks prior, my father-in-law passed away suddenly. Literally just walked in the door and fell down dead. And
so sad. I'm so
it was
sorry.
super traumatic. Thank you. But I was in like a kind of depressive state. It's been a weird, like, especially in the zone, like you're processing so much grief. I was not present. I could not show up. I know a lot of folks that like, because the business relies so much on you, you're like, if that happens, it's fine. Like, things take a hit. I had the opposite effect. I had like the biggest returns in everything across the board in the season when I was feeling the lowest. I felt the week I was not showing up. I was not posting on social media. Like I had cultivated a discipline of like just being public, posting the daily stories, all sort of stuff. I did nothing. I still actually haven't gotten back to it. Like I stopped the podcast. I stopped everything. Was like, I was not in a space where I was like, I'm not in the right space to publish right now. And there's no doubt I admire, like there's great, you can push through. That was my instinct. I was like, I'm going to push through. And then I realized like, I just need to sit in this. I need to process this because it's okay. It's the full spectrum of life. Like this only happens once. For me, it felt like it was a father to me, and to like lose, a father, it's like, it's a big thing. It's a big loss. The weird thing to sit back and be like I made more money than I've ever made in any season realization ever when I did the lease. And that's crazy. It is crazy. It is just ridiculous and crazy. It's counterintuitive to people though, because we will count the cost of putting that support around us. And what's hard for us to kind of quantify is the opportunity cost of not having that support around us. You know what I mean? That's a deep one. Yeah. Like we have multiple people, I should champion this more, but multiple people paid multiple 6 figures a year. And, so we're not like we're not a big organization that underpays. It's like, I continue to push, like if I could pay premium, like I will, and I want to, I want the highest performers to have the highest payment. Like that's it. Like that's how you can attract those kind of people that are very performance driven, great talent. Like they're going to be high cost, but it's like, is it high cost? Is it high cost when I can fade away and all of a sudden everything gets better? Now it's silly. You know what I mean? And so in the moment, you got to like pay for what you can afford in that season. But I am a huge advocate of reinvesting into who, not how, to resolve and strengthen your weaknesses, those gaps. And that's kind of, that's a cop-out answer to like, how do I do this? It's like, even that I've been able to replicate. I love that. I mean, there is no way I think the size of the business and the complexity would run without the team, like A players you actually have, because then it's up. Like, I mean, I would burn out in like 3 seconds looking into your company. Like before you want to open a file, I'm like, but like walk us through like an average day right now. Like, I mean, I've seen you speaking on stages, you show up for these type of podcasts, and you go and you network with people, you're in masterminds already, and you're having a 6-pack, which is a pretty big accomplishment. How are you even managing? And you have kids. So my schedule right now is interesting. It kind of changes season to season. I've had this kind of rhythm before, especially when we have like a newborn. This is typically what I'll do. So I'll wake up early and just go straight to work. That's right now. My ideal season, if you ask me like what I was doing in August, is different than what I'm doing now because we got a newborn, right? So like right now, I just wake up 5:30 and probably start connecting with people at like 6. And it's all internal. It's all team stuff. If people need me, or there's regular, like there are certain folks that still report to me. So I'm like, I still will meet with them for, once a week kind of a thing. And that's until 7:30. 7:30 to 1:30, I'm getting my boys up, getting them ready for school, take them to school. And then I do whatever in that middle gap there. Like we have a 3-year-old, so he's not in school, but he just hangs out with me. So we go to brunch or do whatever. Today, we did some manual labor. I was cleaning out a shed. But like, it's so funny too, because this is the thought that I had. I was like, man, I could hire someone easily to do this. Like it almost feels like silly to do it, because my wife will say like, oh, it's great, we're saving money. I was like, this is like nonsense. I could make so much more money doing something else online. But what, like, you come back to it now, it's like for a 3-year-old, he loves it. Like construction, hammers, all that sort of stuff, manual labor. And I'm like, this is good. I want to be able to teach my kids how to like swing a hammer still and do stuff like that. So we did I was cleaning out a shed, and we kind of have a property, a little kind of farmy. So, but like, that's what we like. It's like, we can plant vegetables, and like we've got fruit trees and and chickens, the whole sort of thing there. So did some manual labor. Weekly, we run on EOS, which is an entrepreneurial operating system. That's kind of like our organizational structure there. And so I still attend the two of those, call them L10s, like I don't know, leadership 10. I don't know what it stands for, but so the marketing one, do that meeting, and then I got this podcast, and then I'll go work out after this. That's it. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And anything else you would like to say to the folks from high level who are actually listening to the podcast, who are trying to get their first 100 SaaS users or trying to grow their business and whatnot, as an advice before we close down? Yeah, I think if I were to give you, if you could focus on the smallest predictable action to get you to success. Like right now, like what did I do? I just tracked what I ate. I didn't even have like a plan. Yeah, I started tracking. What gets measured gets managed. So at first I was tracking. I was like, gosh, darn it, I mean a lot. And then it's like, well, how, if I want to lose weight, I'll just budget less. And then some days I would cheat. I cheat at least once a week, but I track it. I track it. I hold myself accountable. So it's like, if I have a day where it's like, I'm supposed to be on a 1,600 calories and I have 2,300 calories, I look that in the face and be like, yep, I cheated yesterday. And so what happens naturally? You are like programmed to like kind of adjust the next day. So find that small, those sort of like actions and habits you can hold to. So if you're growing, like, do people even know you exist? I just say like DM. You could just DM businesses on Instagram around you. I've done this. I did, if anybody wants, it's 5-day SaaS Accelerator. I did a whole challenge where I just did this. And I was like, you can grow, think about this. You can grow past 100 subscribers in a year just by DMing, like, I think it was like three businesses on Instagram around you, local businesses around you. I gave you the script and everything if you want it, but it's not rocket science to get there. It's accountability and it's like the discipline to actually do it. And I think my biggest encouragement is when you acknowledge where you're at, what the gaps are, what the deficit is, it's just be honest with yourself. Like that's the key, is be honest with yourself. Because then if you ask questions, you're curious, you just reach out to people. Are super generous by and large. And it's when you don't have like a spirit of humility, that's where people struggle kind of by themselves. And you get out there and then it's just like the small actions. I think like it's the concept of chop wood, carry water. If you live in the wilderness, I actually love like camping, stuff like that. Like that's actually what you need to survive. If you can get fresh water and heat, you can live for a long time. Just those two things. You can stay warm, just chop wood to like have a fire, and water. Like those are the bare essentials. And your business has the same thing there. It's like, do people know you exist? And you don't have to jump to paying ads. You just got to DM somebody. You could get creative with delivering value out there, but yeah, just the little things there. And then actually to your point, if you want to try out and be an affiliate first, just to prove to yourself that you can get someone to buy, I think that's a totally great skill to stack, because it won't even feel like selling. You'll just be like, hey, this will help your business for free. I'll set this up for you to help your business. And then for free is like, use the affiliate link. Now you're only going to make $38 a month. Like just to show and build your credentials and build your confidence in yourself. They're like, oh, this is worthwhile. The next time you do it, if you say, hey, this will help your business, and now you pay $97 as opposed to, you make 97 as opposed to 38, because you just put them under you, do the exact same process there. So that's, I don't know if that's
that. Yeah, that's pretty insightful, and yeah, it's very actionable. Appreciate the advice. And guys, hope you enjoyed the podcast today. And if you did like the podcast, please share it with other high levelers. And Matt has given some insightful, actionable steps anybody can take who's running a SaaS business or affiliate business or any business in general, because he has very insightful ideas about how we could actually scale. And Matt, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and giving us your time today. And we hope to have you again in the future.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Bye-bye. And guys, if you still haven't checked out HL Pro Tools, I'll make sure to add my affiliate link in the description. Go check it out. I'll see you guys around. Bye. Thanks.